Last time we sat with the silence of the universe, a sky that should be full of voices, and is not. Tonight we stop waiting for someone to come to us. Tonight we go to them. Because hidden inside physics we already trust, tested physics, boring physics, the kind that runs in particle accelerators every day, there is a ticket. A way for one human being in one ordinary lifetime to cross not just to the nearest star, but between galaxies. No warp drives, no wormholes, no tricks we have to invent, just patience and one steady push. But the ticket has fine print. Every light year it carries you forward. It quietly takes something from you in exchange. Something you can never buy back. People who study this trade have noticed that the universe, which seems so open, has drawn a line across itself. A boundary, invisible and absolute, billions of light years from your bed. On the near side of that line you can always turn around. You can always, eventually, come home. And on the far side you cannot. Not ever. Not at any speed, not even at the speed of light itself. It is the one border in all of nature that only lets you cross it once. And tonight, slowly, gently, we are going to sail all the way out to it. And then, because this is a dream, and dreams are safe, we're going to cross. If these slow journeys help you rest, subscribing is the easiest way to drift out with us again. Settle in. Every great journey in history began with a vehicle that looked, to the people of its time, slightly impossible. A hollowed log against an ocean, a wooden caravel against a planet. Tonight ours is a quiet ship hanging in orbit above a sleeping Earth. And the impossible thing about it is not its size, or its engines, or its shielding. It is its patience. Here is the entire secret of the ship, the whole trick, in one breath. It accelerates at 1g, that is all. 1g is nothing exotic. It is the gentle, constant pull you are feeling right now, lying in your bed, the same press of the Earth that has held you all your life. Our ship simply promises to push forward smoothly and forever, hard enough that everyone inside feels that same familiar weight under their feet, 10 meters per second faster, every second without rest. It does not sound like much. After 1 second you are moving at a jogger's pace beyond what you were. After 10 seconds you have gained the speed of a passenger jet and covered half a kilometre. A sports car can beat that. A rifle bullet leaves it far behind. If ships raced out of the harbour of Earth, ours would be the slow one at first, the unhurried one, the one the others laughed at as they sprinted ahead and coasted. But the others stop accelerating. Ours never does. Engineers will ask fairly where the fuel comes from, and how the hull survives the dust and radiation of deep space at terrible speeds. Those are honest problems, and tonight we will wave them gently aside, the way the physicist who designed this journey waved them, so that we can see clearly what the laws of nature themselves permit. Assume the tank is always full. Assume the shield always holds. Nothing else we meet tonight will be assumption. Everything else is Einstein, and Einstein has never once been caught in an error. There is a lovely consequence of this design, and it is the reason the ship feels less like a machine and more like a home, because it accelerates at exactly 1g. The floor pushes up against the crew precisely as the ground of Earth does. Inside, with the window shuttered, you could forget you were travelling at all. Water pours from a jug, the way it always has. A dropped book lands at your feet. Children, if children ever sail on ships like this, could learn to walk in its corridors exactly as they would have learned at home. The ship carries Earth's most basic comfort. its gravity folded into its engine. Think of the acceleration as compound interest, the kind that bankers love and impatient people ignore. In the first days, the gains look like pocket change. A little more speed, a little more, a little more. Nothing dramatic, but compound interest does not add, it multiplies, and given time it becomes an avalanche. A ship like this starts out losing races to bullets. Within weeks it is moving at speeds no human object has ever approached. Within a year or two, as we will see, it presses against the speed of light itself, the absolute limit of the universe. And there the story stops being engineering and becomes something much stranger. So picture the departure, because it is gentle. No countdown, no fire, no shaking. The engines light with a hum more felt and heard. The floor presses softly up, and Earth simply begins, very slowly at first, to fall behind. From the wide window at the stern, you watch your home, the whole of it. Every city you have walked, every person you have loved, every grave and every garden, gathered into one blue circle that fits inside the frame of a single pane of glass. For now it is enormous. It is still the biggest thing in the sky, still home, still close enough that a radio message reaches it in a heartbeat and an answer comes back before your coffee cools. The crew waves at the cameras wave back in their way. Nothing yet is lost. Hold that picture, the blue circle in the window, the hum in the floor, the unhurried ship that bullets can outrun, gathering its quiet interest. Second on second on second, the way snow gathers on a roof at night, flake by flake, until the weight is astonishing. Because the journey we're beginning tonight will not be measured in months or even years of flight the way sea voyages were. It will be measured in milestones that sound like myth. The moon before your next meal, Mars before the weekend, the edge of the solar system before the season turns, and then out, truly out, into distances where the words themselves begin to bend. The engine hums, the floor presses up like a steady hand on your back. Earth glows in the stern window, patient and blue. And ahead of us, pale in the black, the moon is already growing larger. The first milestone of the voyage, the one that took the Apollo crews 3 full days of flight, is 2.5 hours away. 2.5 hours. That is all the moon costs us. Barely time to unpack, barely time to learn where the galley keeps its cups, and the grey shoulder of the moon is already sliding past the starboard windows. The craters drift by like islands seen from a ship's rail, silent and close, the same craters that human beings once spent the better part of a week reaching in machines. That look from here, heartbreakingly brave and small. We do not stop. We do not even slow. The moon is not a destination tonight. It is a marker buoy at the mouth of the harbour, and we pass it with the engine still humming its one patient note. The speed builds. Remember, every single second we're 10 meters per second faster than the second before. While you watched the moon go by, the ship gained more speed than a jet airliner ever reaches. By the time you have eaten, slept once, and woken again, Earth is a blue star behind us and the sun has begun, just barely, to shrink. A day and a half out, Mars passes. The red world that our slowest ships need 7 months to reach, the world that has swallowed decades of human longing, slides by in rust and shadow somewhere off the port side, and is gone. The crew gathers at the windows for it, the way passengers on ocean liners once gathered for a famous lighthouse. Then the windows empty again. There is a long way to go, and the ship is just clearing its throat. 3 weeks. 3 weeks of corridors and meals and card games and the steady press of the floor, and our patient vessel, the one a rifle bullet could once embarrass, crosses the orbits of the giants, threads the cold outer dark, and passes the most distant machine the human race has ever flung into the night. Voyager 2 left Earth 2 generations ago. It has been falling outward ever since, faithful and freezing, farther from home than anything our species has built. We catch it in 21 days. For one strange moment, the oldest traveller and the newest share the same patch of sky. The tiny pioneer, with its golden record full of greetings and birdsong, and the quiet ship that has already, in 3 weeks, made its lifetime of distance look like a single step. And then we are past, and we are nothing and nowhere that any human thing has ever been. At this point, the ship is moving at roughly 6% of the speed of light, 40 million miles per hour. The numbers have stopped meaning anything to the body. 6% of light speed is 100 times faster than the fastest probe humanity ever launched, and the engine has not strained once. It just hums and adds and compounds. Each day now the ship gains about 2 million miles per hour over the day before. While you slept tonight, in the time it took you to dream one dream, our ship picked up more speed than the entire space age achieved in 70 years. Outside the windows, the solar system is closing behind us like a door of light. The sun is still the brightest thing in the sky, but it is no longer a place. It is becoming a star among stars, a lamp seen across water and around it. Invisible at this distance, everything you have ever known continues without you. Traffic moves, tides turn. Somewhere down in that glare, a kettle is boiling in a kitchen you could once walk to. The radio tells the real story. In the first days, conversation with home was easy, a question and an answer with hardly a pause. Now each word takes hours to swim back upstream. Ask your sister how the garden is doing, and her reply arrives long after you have forgotten asking. Soon the delay will be days, then weeks, then months, and live conversation will quietly die, replaced by letters, the oldest form of long-distance love. Recorded voices, saved videos, news that is already history by the time it reaches the ship. The crew does not mind yet. Letters from home are still letters from home, and there is comfort in a voice even when the voice cannot hear you answer. Ahead, one star is very slowly beginning to separate itself from the wallpaper of night. Alpha Centauri, the Sun's nearest neighbour, 4.4 light-years away. The distance light itself needs 4 years and 5 months to swim. For Voyager 2, the machine we passed in our 3rd week, a crossing like that would take 80,000 years. 80,000 years ago, no human being had yet drawn on a cave wall. We will do it in 3.5, as the crew counts time, and there is the first whisper of the strangeness ahead, the first clause of the fine print. The first clause of the fine print. Out here, at the speeds we are now approaching, time itself stops being a single river that everyone shares. It is about to split, one current for the ship, another, faster and crueler, for everyone we left behind. 15 months out, the ship crosses its first full light year, and the crew marks the moment with whatever passes for champagne on board. They are almost a quarter of the way to Alpha Centauri by distance, already over a third by time. The compounding has begun to tell. But it is not the milestone that the crew will remember from this stretch of the voyage. It is the windows. Because right around now, looking back toward home, somebody notices that the sun is going out. It happens slowly, and then all at once, the way dusk does. The sun behind us has been shrinking for months, of course. Everyone expected that. Sail away from a lamp, and the lamp grows dim. But what the crew sees now, 15 months into the voyage, is wrong in a deeper way. The sun is not just smaller, it is fading, dramatically, unnaturally, thousands of times faster than mere distance can explain. Through the big stern window, it has dropped to a dull ember, and within weeks, even the ember dies. The ship's telescope can still find it, barely, a cooling red point in the dark. To the naked eye, the star that lit every sunrise in human history has simply gone out. Nothing has happened to the sun, something has happened to us. We are now travelling away from home, at an appreciable fraction of the speed of light, and at such speeds, light itself begins to play by rules our eyes never evolved to expect. The light chasing us from the sun arrives stretched, its waves pulled long and red like taffy, sliding down past red into the infrared, where human eyes see nothing at all. The sun is still shining at us. We have simply outrun our ability to see it, and the same physics that stretches the light also starves it, thinning the stream of arriving photons so the brightness collapses. Behind the ship, the past is literally fading from view. Ahead of the ship, the opposite. Alpha Centauri, our destination, has begun to blaze. Its light comes to meet us compressed, squeezed, blue and fierce, 10,000 times brighter than it has any right to be. So intense that the forward windows now carry filters, and what reaches a crew arrives as hard violet and invisible ultraviolet. The future, dead ahead, has become almost too bright to look at, and the stars themselves are moving. Not really, of course, but night by night, the constellations crawl across the dome of the sky, sliding forward, gathering toward the point directly ahead of the ship, like iron filings drawn to a magnet. The universe is bending around us into a tunnel. Astronomers call it relativistic aberration. The crew just calls it the tunnel. Stars that should be behind the ship appear ahead of it. The whole sky, the entire visible universe, is slowly squeezing itself into a luminous ring around the bow, while behind the stern there spreads a growing, perfect, starless black. There is a phrase for what is happening, and it is worth saying gently, because it is the true theme of this whole night. As you accelerate toward the speed of light, you begin to disconnect from the rest of the universe. Inside the ship, nothing changes. That is the eeriest part. The coffee is hot. The floor presses up at exactly 1 G. Clocks tick at 1 second per second. Hearts beat at resting pace. Bread rises in the galley oven in the usual 40 minutes. By every test the crew can perform, time aboard is utterly ordinary. The strangeness is all in the windows, all in the relationship between the ship and everything it left behind. Because back on Earth, if anyone could watch the ship through some impossible telescope, they would see the opposite of ordinary. They would see the crew moving in slow motion. 15 months out, the slowdown reaches a factor of 2. Every minute aboard stretches into 2 Earth minutes. The crew's days take 48 Earth hours. Their hearts on Earth's clocks beat 30 times a minute. Physicists measure this with a number they call the Lorentz factor. And as our engine keeps humming, that number is about to begin a climb that will not stop for the rest of the voyage. 2, then 10, then 600, then 1,000,000, each step pulling ship time and Earth time further apart, like 2 shores of a widening sea. Here is the strangest checkpoint of all. Right now the ship is moving at 87% of the speed of light, and it is still gaining speed every second, as it always has. Do the simple arithmetic, and you find we should cross the speed of light in about 45 days. The crew has done that arithmetic, Everyone aboard knows the date it predicts, and everyone aboard knows the date will come and go, and the ship will not cross, because nothing crosses. The speed of light is not a record to be broken. It is the deep grammar of the universe, woven into every experiment humanity has ever run. The ship will accelerate forever, and arrive only ever closer, 90%, 99. A string of nines stretching toward an end it cannot reach. So where does all that endless acceleration go, if not into speed? It goes into the strangeness. It pours into the widening gap between the ship's time and Earth's time, into the tunnel of bent starlight, into the deepening dark astern. The engine is no longer really buying speed, it is buying separation. The crew adapts, as crews do. The letters from home still arrive, months old now, telling of birthdays and elections and rain. The forward filters are adjusted. Someone hangs a hand-drawn sign by the stern window where the sun used to be. It says simply, "Back soon." And the navigators bend over their charts, because the first decision of the voyage is approaching. Alpha Centauri is growing close, blazing in the bow tunnel, and a ship that accelerates forever can never stop anywhere. If we actually want to set foot on the worlds of another star, to stand still under a different sun, there is a maneuver we must perform, and the moment to perform it is almost here. It is called the flip. And it begins at the exact halfway point of the road. Halfway to Alpha Centauri, a bell sounds softly through the corridors, and the engine, for the first time since Earth orbit, falls silent. For a few minutes the ship coasts, weightless. Cups drift, hair floats. The crew holds the rails and waits, and through the windows the tunnel of stars hangs motionless, as if the universe were holding its breath too. Then thrusters whisper along the hull. The long axis of the ship swings slowly through half a circle, stars wheeling past the portholes in stately procession, and when the rotation stops, the ship is flying backward, stern first, engine pointed at the destination. The hum returns, the floor returns. Weight settles back onto shoulders exactly as before. One gi kindly and familiar. Inside, nothing has changed at all. But outside, everything has reversed its meaning. Every second of thrust now subtracts 10 meters per second instead of adding it. The ship has stopped falling toward the stars and begun, with the same gentle patience, braking. This is the flip, and every journey we make tonight will pivot on one. Accelerate to the middle of the road, turn over, decelerate to the end. Half the voyage spent gaining the terrible speed, half spent giving it carefully back, so that we arrive not as a streak of light, but as a ship, slow and sane, able to stop, and look, and land. The breaking months pass. The blazing blue beacon ahead softens, slows its approach, resolves, and one morning, ship's morning, the crew wakes to find not a star ahead, but suns. Two of them, close and golden, circling one another in a slow gravitational waltz, with a third, a dim red spark, keeping shy distance. Alpha Centauri is not one star, but a family. The ship glides in past worlds. We are only now, in our own real century, beginning to map, and settles into orbit around a rocky planet washed in double light. Shadows fall twice on its hills. 2 noons cross its sky. The crew descends in a small boat and stands, actually stands, on stone that no light from Earth has touched in 4 years, under suns that no human eye has ever seen up close. Whatever they find there, deserts or oceans, silence or wonder, we will leave to them. Tonight what matters is the simple, staggering fact of the arrival itself. Because here is the arithmetic of the crossing, and it is the first miracle of the night. The ship's clocks, all of them agree. The voyage from Earth took 3.5 years. The crew is 3.5 years older, no more. Yet Alpha Centauri is 4.4 light years from home, and light, remember, is the fastest thing there is. Even a flash of light needs 4 years and 5 months to make this trip. We seem to have arrived faster than light itself. We did not, of course. No law was broken, and the resolution of the riddle is the quiet engine of everything that follows tonight. Back on Earth, more time passed than passed aboard. Earth's calendars, if we could see them, read 6 years since departure. The light that left home alongside us did beat us here, by a comfortable margin, as light always must. It is just that we experienced the race differently. Our clocks ran slow compared to the universe at large. 3.5 years of ship time stretched across 6 years of Earth time. Nobody outran light. We simply took a shortcut through time while covering every inch of the distance through space. Say it plainly because the whole night turns on it. The speed of light is not really a speed limit on travel. It is a speed limit on coming home to the world you left. The universe will let you go as far as you like in one lifetime. It will simply charge you the difference, and it keeps its accounts in other people's years. A round trip from here, suppose the crew turned around right now, would land them back on Earth 7 years older, in an Earth 12 years on. Their children would have aged 12 years, not 7. 5 years of family life, of summers and quarrels and quiet dinners, gone unwitnessed. The first instalment of the price. 12 for 7. As exchange rates go, it is gentle. A person could pay it and still belong to their world. Remember that gentleness. It will not last. The crew spends weeks at Alpha Centauri, the way you would hope explorers might. They chart the double sunrises. They leave instruments and footprints and a small plaque for whoever comes next. And then, on the eve of the planned departure for home, the ship's council meets, and someone, history never records who, asks the question that every explorer since the first canoe has asked while the horizon still glowed. We have a ship that never tires. We have momentum no human crew has ever held. The way home will still be there in a year, in 10, in 50. But we are here now, farther out than anyone has ever been, and the night beyond these two suns is deep and full of shores. What if we did not turn back yet? The vote is taken. It is not close, and you already know which way it went, because you're still aboard and the engine is humming again, and the twin suns are shrinking in the stern window, falling away behind us like harbour lights. Ahead, the true deep begins, and the exchange rate begins to climb. Our sun, it turns out, lives in a neighbourhood. Spread around it, 30 light years across, is a region astronomers call, with surprising tenderness, the local fluff. A wisp of slightly warmer, slightly thicker interstellar gas through which the sun and its little family of planets have been drifting for tens of thousands of years. The name sounds like something from a children's book, and there is something fitting in that, because the journey across it is the last one a crew can make and still come home to anything resembling the world they knew. The ship sails on. The tunnel of starlight tightens ahead, the dark widens astern, and the Lorentz number, that quiet bookkeeper of separation, climbs. The crossing to the edge of the fluff and back by the ship's clocks takes 13 years and 5 months. Call it the length of a childhood. And that is exactly how to feel what it costs. Imagine the navigator of our ship has a daughter, 8 years old, who stood at the viewing gallery on departure day with her hand against the glass. For the navigator, 13 years pass, hard years and good ones, double sunrises and long watches, and she returns still in the strength of middle age, 51 years old, carrying gifts from the edge of the neighbourhood. But on Earth, while 13 years passed aboard, 63 passed below. The 8-year-old who waved is 71 now. The daughter is older than the mother. She comes to the landing field leaning on a cane, white-haired, bright-eyed, and the two of them stand face to face across an afternoon that no family was ever meant to have the parent younger than the child, both of them rehearsing words they had 60 years and 13 years respectively to choose. "Nobody believed me," the old woman says at last, "but I knew you would come back." And when the navigator asks how she could have been so sure, the answer comes back across every one of those years: "Because you promised." Hold them there a moment in the long light. Nothing in physics forbids that meeting. Everything in physics, in fact, conspires to create it. The moment a ship like ours exists, time dilation is not a poet's metaphor. It is bookkeeping, real as a ledger, and the ledger does not care that its arithmetic rearranges families. That is the local fluff. 13 years aboard, 63 below. The exchange rate has climbed from gentle to grievous, and we have barely left the porch. Beyond the fluff lies the local bubble, a vast cavern of thin hot gas 300 light-years wide, blown clear long ago by exploding stars, in which tens of thousands of suns now drift. Our own sun floats inside it like a lantern in a great dark hall. To sail to the wall of that hall and home again cost the crew 22 years. A career. A young officer who ships out at 25 returns at 47, grey at the temples, decorated, still strong. Earth pays 600 years. 600 of them. The crew that departs tomorrow morning would return to an Earth as far from today as today is, from the age of plague doctors and sailing ships and letters sealed in wax. Everyone who saw them leave is gone, and so are those people's grandchildren's grandchildren. Their language has curdled into something half foreign. Their money is in museums. The countries stamped in their passports may be legends the way Carthage is a legend. Historians, if historians still exist, meet the ship in whatever has replaced boats and airports. And the crew step down the ramp not as travellers returning, but as primary sources, relics, the only living people who remember a world 6 centuries dead. Think of what they carry: recipes nobody cooks anymore, songs in dead dialects, the exact sound of a particular bell in a particular city on departure morning, a wallet photograph of a child who lived a long, complete life, loved and aged and died, while her mother crossed a bubble of starlight and came home still young. And yet, and this is the strange mercy of it, the universe down here on the surface would still be recognizable. Stars in their courses, seasons, rain, whatever changes 600 years bring to people, the sky over their heads tonight is the sky we have. The deal, even now, even this steep, is still a deal between humans and other humans across time. The next legs of our voyage will break that too, because the Council meets again, as you knew it would. The ship is sound, the engine has never faltered, and the maps show, beyond the bubble's wall, the bright spilled river of the galaxy itself waiting, our spiral arm, the Orion spur, 100 billion suns deep. The vote is quieter this time. Some aboard have done their arithmetic and gone pale. But exploration is a current, and we are far out in it now. And the ship turns not homeward but outward, deeper, the engine taking up its endless patient note. It is on this next leg, about 6.5 years out, 2/3 of the way through the 7th year, that it happens. A junior officer on night watch, if night means anything here, looks up from her instruments at the forward window into the tumult of crowded bent starlight, and goes very still. Dead ahead, in the centre of the tumult, in a patch of sky that should be empty and black, something has begun, very faintly, to glow, a deep, soft red, like a coal breathing in the dark. She checks the instruments. The instruments agree. It is not a star. Every culture that ever slept under the open sky has told some story about what lies behind stars, a curtain, a sea, the campfires of the dead. Tonight, on the night watch of a ship 6.5 years deep into the Orion Spur, a junior officer has just become the first human being to see the true answer with her naked eyes. The red glow ahead is not a star. It is not a nebula, not a ship, not a trick of the glass. It is the oldest light in existence. It is the afterglow of the Big Bang itself. Here is the secret that was always hiding behind the night. The universe began 13.8 billion years ago, in heat beyond all language. That first fire has never gone out. It cannot go out because it is not burning anywhere in particular. It fills the whole of space, every direction, every gap between every star, a smooth ocean of ancient light still arriving from the beginning of time. But the expansion of the universe has stretched it, eon after eon, pulling its waves longer and longer, out past red, out past infrared, down into the microwave, far below anything an eye can catch. Astronomers call it the cosmic microwave background. It is the wallpaper behind all the stars, and it is invisible. And it has been invisible for billions of years, unless you run toward it fast enough. Our speed has become a prism. The same compression that long ago turned Alpha Centauri fierce and blue is now squeezing the oldest light in the cosmos. Hoisting it octave by octave back up the ladder, it descended over 13 billion years. Microwave to infrared, infrared to red. The ship's Lorentz factor has climbed into the hundreds, 650 now and rising. And at 650, the dawn of creation crosses back over the threshold of human sight. So the glow strengthens. Watch by watch, week by week, it brightens and it blooms. The deep coal red warms to ember, the ember to orange, and the patch begins to spread, a ring of colour blossoming outward around the exact point of the ship's heading. Soon it is gold at the centre, then a fierce pale yellow, then, in the final months of the outbound burn, the very core of it tips over into blue-white, with the older colours banded around it in rings, gold inside orange inside red, dimming by degrees out toward the black. Understand what is hanging in the forward window now. A target of layered fire, dead ahead, painted on the void itself. The crew gathers in the observation gallery in silence, faces washed in shifting colour, and the ship's log from these weeks reads less like a report than a psalm. It is like staring down into the eye of a cosmic rainbow. As if the ship, by running hard enough and long enough, has finally caught the gaze of the universe itself. The universe is looking back. That is what the eye is. When you look into that ring of fire, the light touching your face is older than the earth, older than the stars, older than the elements in your blood. You are seeing the universe as it was before there was anyone to see. 380,000 years after the beginning, the moment the first fog lifted and light first ran free, every human who ever wondered what lies behind the night sky was wandering without knowing it, about exactly this, and it was always there. It only needed someone to come fast enough to meet it. There is a deep gentleness in this, for a mind drifting towards sleep. The dark between the stars was never empty. It was never cold silence all the way down. Behind the black there has always been this warm ancient light, the original light, holding the whole sky like a cupped hand. Slower than us, you cannot see it, but it is there above your roof tonight, all the same, everywhere, patient beyond all patience. The ship reaches its peak velocity at the edge of the Orion spur, holds the eye of the universe in its window for one long, unrepeatable season, and then the flick comes, the engine swings round, and the braking begins. And as the speed bleeds away, the miracle reverses itself, with a strange sorrow in it. The blue-white core cools to gold. The gold fades to ember. The rings widen, soften, redden, and sink one by one back below the floor of human sight, until the forward sky is only stars again, ordinary diamond stars on ordinary black, and the oldest light in existence has drawn its veil and returned to waiting. The junior officer who first saw it will be asked about it for the rest of her life, at every port, by every recruit. She will always say the same thing. It did not feel like watching something appear. It felt like being seen. The ship coasts now through the thinning shoals at the rim of the Orion spur, decelerating toward whatever harbour the Council names next. Behind, unseen, Earth's 600-year letters are still swimming after us, further behind with every watch. The round trip from here, if we turn for home this instant, would cost the crew 31 years and Earth far more than it has ever paid for anything. But the Council is not looking back. Spread on the chart table now is the whole bright island of the galaxy, the Milky Way entire, and at its outermost shore, where the river of stars thins into intergalactic night, someone has placed a small marker. The edge, the actual edge of the galaxy, 41 years away, round trip, as the ship counts time. As Earth counts it, 100,000. 100,000 years. Before we sail it, stand still in it for a moment, because numbers this size slide off the mind unless they are held. 100,000 years ago, there were human beings, and they were us, anatomically, beautifully, completely us, with our hands and our eyes and our restlessness, but not one of them had ever planted a seed, or written a word, or built anything taller than themselves that lasted. Every city, every alphabet, every law, every song with a name, every grave with a marker, the entire furnished world we mean when we say civilization, all of it fits inside 100,000 years with room to spare. That is the span of time our ship is about to spend away on a single voyage to the edge of the galaxy and back. The crew will age 41 years, a working lifetime. A cadet who boards 20 steps off at 61, finished, fulfilled, decorated, old. Earth ages 100 millennia. The outbound years pass in the rhythm the ship has taught us. Watches, letters, the flip, the slow bloom and fade of the eye of the universe at peak speed, brighter this time, bluer, the Lorentz numbers climbing into ranges the instruments log without comment, because no comment could be adequate. And then the braking and the arrival, and the crew stands at the forward gallery, looking out at something no eye has ever seen from. Inside it, the shore of the galaxy, the place where the river of stars runs out. Behind the ship, the whole Milky Way lies spread like a city seen from a midnight plain. 100 billion suns banked in drifts and lanes and glowing shoals. Everything humanity ever knew or named somewhere in that haze, indistinguishable. Ahead, nothing. Not thin stars, not faint stars, nothing. An ocean of intergalactic dark so wide that the next shore, Andromeda, is a faint smudge the size of a thumbnail held at arm's length, 2.5 million light-years out. The ship hangs at the rim, a mote above an island of light, and the crew takes its photographs and its measurements and its long silences, and then the engine turns them home. Home, a word that is about to require quotation marks. Because while the ship retraces its 41-year arc, Earth's 100,000 years are running, and we have no idea, none, what 100,000 years does to a civilization. We have never seen it done. Perhaps our descendants ride the slow centuries gracefully, and the returning crew finds a world that remembers them, expects them even. Their voyage, a famous story, handed carefully down 3,000 generations, the way embers were once handed between camps. Perhaps language itself has shed its skin so many times that the ship's hails arrive sounding like wind, and the linguists of the far future bend over recordings of our newscasts the way we bend over scratches on mammoth ivory. Perhaps they have gone strange and great, our descendants, evolved by slow drift or swift design into shapes we would not recognize across a room, with the old baseline humans of the ship's crew preserved in their genetic archives the way we preserve wolf blood in dogs. Perhaps they have gone simple instead, the towers long dissolved, technology set down deliberately like a tool after the work is finished, and the landing crew walks out into a green, quiet world of small villages whose people watch. The skyship descend with no surprise at all, because their oldest songs always said it would come. Or perhaps the earth is empty, moved out, moved on, the whole species decanted outward to younger stars, and the blue world kept as a garden, or a shrine, or simply left, the way a family leaves a house when the last grandmother dies, with everything tidy and the door not quite locked. The ship's library holds the answer to none of this. But think of what the ship's library holds. Every book, every film, every photograph, every recipe and lullaby and street map loaded on departure day, sealed and incorruptible, riding back home across 100,000 years. Whatever Earth has become, the ship arrives carrying the complete furnished memory of a world 10,000 decades gone. To the people of the far shore, however they speak, and whatever they have made of themselves, that returning vessel is not really a spaceship anymore. It is an ancient library sailing out of the deep, crewed by the only 60 living people who remember how the books were meant to be read. The freshest voice aboard speaks an extinct tongue with a perfect accent. The youngest hands aboard know crafts 1,000 generations lost. However the future receives them, with parades or with instruments or with silence, one thing is certain: they will never again be contemporaries of anyone. They have become, while still warm and living and fond of their morning coffee, artifacts. That is the price at the edge of the galaxy. Not death, something stranger, outliving your whole world, while it is the world that does the dying. And the Council, when it gathers this time in some hall of that unimaginable future Earth, or perhaps without ever landing at all, holds the longest silence of the voyage. Because the next mark on the chart is not an edge, or a shore, or a spur. It is across the void itself. The thumbnail smudge, the next island over, the great spiral of Andromeda, and every soul aboard has already done the arithmetic in the privacy of their bunks. The crossing can be made. 56 years, shit time, round trip, a whole life given to one voyage. and the Earth that waves goodbye will wait 5 million years for the answer. 5 million years is not a length of history. It is a length of biology. 5 million years ago, there were no humans. There was no one to be human. Our ancestors at that distance were small, careful creatures of the African woodland edge, just beginning the long argument with gravity that would one day be called walking upright. Everything since, every species of human that rose and vanished, the tool makers, the fire keepers, the Neanderthals, ourselves, all of it unfolded inside 5 million years. That is the gulf our ship now proposes to open between its crew and every other human being who has ever lived. The vote, this time, is nearly silent. The ones who sail know exactly what they are signing. This is the deal with the devil at full price. Not absence from your family, not absence from your century, absence from your species. The ship falls upward from the galaxy's rim into the true void, and for years the windows hold a sight no one grows used to. Behind, the Milky Way entire, shrinking with terrible slowness, a spiral of pale fire becoming a coin, becoming an ornament, becoming a memory pinned on black. Ahead, Andromeda growing with the same dreamlike slowness, month by month, year by year, from smudge to disk to majesty. A trillion suns opening like a slow silver flower across the forward dark. For most of the crossing, these two galaxies are the only things in the universe. The crew lives suspended between two cities of light on an ocean with no waves, no shore, no bottom. 56 years after departure, the ship returns to Earth orbit. The crew that left in their 20s and 30s are in their 70s and 80s now, the first humans to see another galaxy with living eyes, the holders of the longest voyage ever sailed. Below them turns an Earth on which, in all likelihood, they are the last humans in the universe. 5 million years is simply too long. Whatever our descendants became, they are not here, not as us. No species of large animal has ever held its shape so long against the patient sculpting of time, and there is no reason to believe we were the exception. Perhaps the line flowed on into successors wiser or stranger, who left for the stars or folded themselves into forms beyond biology. Perhaps it ended quietly somewhere in the long middle, in some forgotten 10,000th century with no one left to mourn it. From orbit the crew cannot tell. The radio bands are clean, the night side is dark. But here is what the night side shows instead, and it is the gentlest twist in all of tonight's journey. The Earth is not a ruin. The Earth is radiant. The crew expected, perhaps, a husk, a used-up world, the smoke-stained aftermath of whatever ended the human chapter. What turns below them instead is a garden. With the city's 5 million years dissolved, every scar has healed. Forests have flooded back across the continents in unbroken green. Rivers run clear and braided through valleys that were once gridlocked plains. And in the shallow seas, blowing under the clean water, like stained glass, the coral reefs have returned, vast and healthy, all the colours humanity spent its last centuries mourning, rebuilt patiently by creatures that never knew they were performing a resurrection. Biodiversity has climbed all the way home, back to the abundance of the deep past, as if the planet has simply taken a long breath and let our whole story out with the exhale. Nature has reclaimed what was always hers, not in anger. There is no anger anywhere in that blue and green window. The Earth simply continued the way rain continues after the parade has gone in. The landing boats go down. Picture the crew, the old explorers, walking out into a dawn meadow where some great city once stood, and finding nothing of it. Not a stone, not a bean, only wild flowers crowding a faint long ridge that might, or might not, have been a boulevard. Birds unafraid of people, because nothing in 5 million years has taught them to be. The crew came home prepared to be strangers among their descendants. They find instead that they are guests of the planet itself, received, not by history but by mourning, in a world that has forgotten them completely and is, perhaps for exactly that reason, more beautiful than anyone aboard has ever seen it. They are the last humans, and the last humans spend their evenings doing something achingly familiar. They sit on a hillside in the long light, and they watch the sky. Because the sky still has shores in it. The ship is old now, as ships go, but the engine has never once failed, and stored in its bones is the same patient magic, one gi, forever, that carried them across the void between galaxies while a species rose and dissolved behind. Them Andromeda was 2.5 million light-years. The charts hold names beyond it. The Virgo cluster of galaxies, 67 crew years for the round trip. And beyond Virgo, the great gathered continent of 100,000 galaxies that astronomers in the cruise, first lifetime named Laniakea, immeasurable heaven, whose far edge would cost 76 years of ship time, a full human life, birth to silver, spent inside one journey. And Earth, this green, forgiving earth below them, with its reefs and its bird-filled mornings. If they sail for the edge of Laniakea and come back, the earth that meets them will have aged 1 billion years. The hillside is quiet for a long time. Then someone, the youngest of the old crew, stands up, brushes off the wildflowers, and looks at the ship. There are journeys that should perhaps not be made, and the ship makes this one anyway, because by now you understand the crew, and the crew understands the price. And somewhere, in the long arithmetic of the voyage, the price stopped being a deterrent, became a kind of solemn offering. 76 years, one whole human life, traded for one glimpse of the edge of immeasurable heaven. The voyage itself passes beyond storytelling. At its peak, the ship's velocity is a decimal point chased by 8 nines, so close to the speed of light that the difference could not be measured by any clock. The crew was born under. The Lorentz factor, the bookkeeper of separation, climbs to 250 million. The eye of the universe ahead is no longer a rainbow. The afterglow of creation arrives so compressed, so violently blue-shifted, that the gentle warmth left over from the Big Bang burns at the temperature the universe knew in its first minutes, 1 billion degrees, and the ship sails with its ancient shielding turned to face the dawn of time like a prow. Against a gale, galaxies stream past the windows in the bent tumble of speed. Whole cities of light crossed in single watches, 100,000 of them. Laniakea entire, the largest structure to which our little blue world was ever said to belong. They reach the edge, they turn as they have always turned, and they come home. 76 years aboard, 1 billion below, and the earth in the window is the wrong colour. Where the ship left a garden, there hangs an amber world, browned and bruised. Its continents drifted into shapes no crew member can read. Its seas visibly shrunken, pulled back from pale dead shells that were once seabeds. The green is gone, the night side is dark, and the day side is haze, and the instruments, gentle, neutral, merciless, explain. It is the sun. The sun has done this. Stars like ours brighten as they age, slowly, implacably. A few percent with every 100 million years, and 1 billion years was time for almost 10. that small change was enough. The brightening sun drove the weather harder. A harder weathering of rock drank carbon dioxide out of the air, the very gas the green world breathed, until photosynthesis itself began to starve. The plants thinned, the forests failed, the food chains that balanced on them folded, tier by patient tier. Breathed their water into the sky, and the sky let it slip away into space, and somewhere in that long decline, even the slow tectonic heartbeat of the planet, the drift and renewal of continents that ran 4 billion years without missing a beat, shuddered toward stillness for want of water to ease its motion. What remains below is not a dead world. Not quite, not yet. In sheltered seas and deep wet rock, simple life endures, microbes, mats, the tough ancient kinds that were here first. Holding on the way, they held on before anything had leaves. They may hold another few 100 million years. But the age of forests and reefs and bird-filled mornings is over forever. Multicellular life on Earth is in its final season. Who left a garden and returned to this understand that they are not looking at a catastrophe. No asteroid came. No one burned anything. They are looking at old age. The Earth is dying the way stars and people die on schedule of natural causes, not with a bang but with a long, patient exhale. The living Earth is gasping her last breath, and the only humans left in the universe are watching from orbit, too late by exactly 1 billion years to say goodbye to the garden, just in time to hold the planet's hand. They go down one last time. Of course they do. Old explorers in a small boat, landing on the shore of the last shadow sea, where warm thick water laps at stone under a swollen golden sun. Nothing greets them, nothing flees them. The silence is not the silence of emptiness, but of late afternoon, of a house in order, of work finished long ago. Kneels at the waterline and rests a hand in the warm sea, over the microbial mats blowing faintly green in the shallows, the first kind of life, and now the last, and says something quiet that the others do not ask her to repeat. And maybe it is only there, on that shore, that the full shape of the night's bargain finally stands plain. The constantly accelerating ship can outrun everything. Distance, history, the species, the biosphere. Everything the crew ever loved has been traded in the end for the seeing. They have seen what no being may ever see again, the eye of the universe, the shore of the galaxy, Andromeda, by naked eye, the edge of immeasurable heaven, and the cost was written fair on every ticket, and they paid it, and the universe never once lied to them. The ship climbs away from the amber earth. In the stern window, the old world dwindles. A dim, warm coin, then an ember, then a star among stars, and the crew lets it go the way you let go of a hand at the end. The charts come out one final time, and it is now, only now, with 1 billion years already spent, that the navigator lays her finger on the deepest line ever drawn across them, a line no chart maker ever inked before our era. The mathematicians call it a horizon. The crew will come to call it the door. It lies 8.3 billion light years out, and it only opens one way. In 1998, two rival teams of astronomers, racing each other to measure how fast the universe was slowing down, both arrived, bewildered, at the same impossible answer. It is not slowing down at all. The expansion of the universe, the great stretching of space that began with the Big Bang, is speeding up. Some unseen influence, woven into empty space itself, is pressing the cosmos apart faster with every passing eon. They called it dark energy, a name chosen the way sailors name an unknown sea to mark ignorance honestly. A quarter century later, it remains perhaps the deepest open mystery in all of physics. And it is dark energy, this faceless quiet pressure in the vacuum, that has drawn the line our navigator now studies. Because once space itself can stretch, distance stops being a fixed thing. The road you are travelling can lengthen while you travel it. Understand this with rising ground gently, because it is the heart of the night. Inside a galaxy, gravity wins. Stars hold together, neighbourhoods hold together, and a ship may sail among them, as if space were a still ocean. The journeys we have made so far, even between galaxies, crossed regions where the stretching barely mattered, but sail far enough, out into the deep open cosmos, and the stretch begins to tell. The waters of the ocean itself are widening beneath the hull. Sail 1 light year forward, and behind you, more than 1 light year of new ocean has quietly been poured into your wake. Run the mathematics of our patient 1G ship against that widening ocean, and a boundary emerges. The calculation is recent. As far as anyone can tell, it was first worked out, in full, by the astronomer whose voyage we have been retracing all night, who searched the literature for it, and found that no one had ever bothered to ask. The question sounds so simple. How far out can a ship sail and still, by turning around at once and burning for home forever, eventually get back? The answer is 8.3 billion light years. Inside that distance the universe forgives. However far you roam, however many ages burn away behind you, the road home remains, in principle, open. Cross it, and something silent and absolute happens, with no fanfare, no flash, no shudder in the deck. The stretch of the ocean behind you begins outrunning anything that swims. The space between you and home is now being created faster than even light can cross it. Turn the ship. Burn the engine for a year, a century, a million years. The wake widens faster than you can close it. Home is not merely distant now. Home is unreachable by you, by your signals, by anything, for the rest of the life of the universe. Yes, space can do that. Nothing may move through space faster than light. But space itself is bound by no such law, and out in the deep cosmos, it stretches faster than light routinely, carrying its distant galaxies with it the way a river carries boats. Past 8.3 billion light years, you are on the far side of a waterfall, still rowing in a current that has already decided. The crew of our ship hangs at the threshold for a long time. The instruments mark it precisely. There the window shows nothing at all, only sparse far galaxies fore and aft, the thinnest scatter of embers on black. Every border humans ever crossed before announced itself. A coastline, a summit, a sound barrier that struck back. The deepest border in nature is unmarked. On one side of an ordinary metre of empty space, you are a traveller very far from home. On the other side, you are something for which the universe has no precedent, and the crew no word. Not lost exactly. Lost implies a way back exists and cannot be found. There is simply no longer any home in your future, anywhere, in any direction, at any speed, for all remaining time. What would you do at a line like that? Sleep on it once, the way the crew does. The whole ship lying silent through one last shipboard night, with the threshold a hand's breadth off the bow. And then, in the morning, by the oldest logic of every explorer who ever owned a ship that could not be worn out, they do what you already knew they would do. What is behind them, after all? An amber earth, 1 billion years gone, a species 5 million years dissolved, every harbour long since dust. The door home, for this crew, closed ages ago, in every way that matters to a heart. All that the line ahead can take from them is a mathematical possibility they were never going to spend. The engine hums. The bow crosses the metre of nothing. And nothing happens. That is the truth of it, and somehow the largest thing in the whole night. No bell tolls, the lamps burn steady, the coffee in the galley stays warm. A crew member laughs at something in the mess, and the laugh sounds exactly as it always sounded. The most irreversible step any travellers have taken in the history of matter feels precisely like any other Tuesday, and the universe, vast and stretching and utterly indifferent, does not pause to notice that somewhere in its widening waters one small warm-lit vessel has just slipped its last mooring. One way now, only forward, and forward, the navigator knows, holds one final secret, because even unbound, even one way, even accelerating forever, there is a second horizon out there that the ship can never reach at all. The universe, it turns out, has an edge for dreamers too. Freed from every harbour, the ship becomes a pure idea. 1G? If nothing can ever be returned to, then nothing remains to measure against, except the universe itself. So the crew sets the only course with any meaning left, outward toward the farthest anything, to see how far forever goes. And here the universe shows its last closed door, because there is a horizon ahead as well as behind. Cosmologists call it the event horizon of the universe, and it marks the farthest shore that anything leaving Earth now, even a beam of light, even given infinite time, could ever touch. It lies roughly twice as far as the point of no return we have already crossed. Beyond it, the stretching of space is so swift that those distant galaxies are receding faster than light, and they are gone, not hidden, but gone, removed from every possible future of every possible traveller from here. The ship runs anyway, for years and decades of shipboard time. The engine holds its ancient note, the Lorentz numbers climb past all meaning, and the chase proves what the mathematics always whispered. The horizon recedes. The faster the ship runs, the more the widening waters carry the far shore away. It is the one race the constantly accelerating spaceship cannot win, has never been able to win, the bone-deep rule under all of tonight. You can outrun your home, you can never outrun the river. And while the ship chases, the universe around it begins, very quietly, to leave. This is the stretch of the voyage where the windows change for the last time. The sparse far galaxies, those last embers scattered on the black, grow dimmer, redder, fewer. The stretching waters are carrying them out past the horizon one by one, and each one that goes simply fades below sight and does not return. Watch by watch the sky is emptying, not falling dark the way a night falls dark, with the promise folded inside it, but truly emptying, light by light. The crew gathers at the gallery now, not to see, but to keep company with the seeing, because every light in the window is a light they will not see again, and someone should be watching when each one goes. In the end it happens, the thing that cannot be softened and does not need to be, because the crew long ago made its peace. The last far galaxy reddens, gutters like a candle at the end of its wick, and goes out, and the universe outside the glass is black, complete, without feature, without direction, without distance, because distance needs a landmark and there are none. The ship has not arrived anywhere. There is no longer anywhere. Through a void so total that the word void is too small, the only warm-lit thing, as far as anything can be said to have a location at all, in its entire observable universe. Statistically, the cosmologists will tell you this is true in the fullest sense. Space has by now stretched by a factor so vast it cannot be spoken, the one followed by more zeros than there are atoms in worlds. The ancient afterglow, the eye that once watched the ship, has thinned to nothing at all. Within the whole sphere of existence the crew could ever in principle survey, there is very likely not one other particle. The ship is alone in a way nothing in 13 billion years has ever been alone. And here, at the absolute end of distance, the strangest thing in tonight's whole journey happens. Time itself lets go. All night we have kept 2 sets of books, ship years against Earth years, 7 against 12, 41 against 100,000, 76 against a billion. Run the old arithmetic one last time and it promises numbers like delirium. 2 centuries aboard against a span of years so long that protons themselves should crumble. But the arithmetic has quietly lost its meaning. Time dilation was always a comparison, one clock held against another. Earth's clock is beyond the horizon, gone from every possible future. Every clock is. There is nothing left in the sky to be slower than, nothing to be younger than. The questions how long, how fast, how far, all of them need a second thing, and the universe of the ship now contains only the ship. The 2 sets of books close themselves. The crew is no longer late or early or long gone or ancient. They simply are, the only when that remains anywhere. The ship's log from these final watches, if a log still means anything, would read like this: we have become a monument. Not a monument in the universe, a monument to it, to times that once were, to a sky that once held 100 billion galaxies, and a small blue world where rain fell on, slate roofs, and someone we loved once waited at a garden gate, certain we would come back, because we promised. And aboard the monument, life is gentle. That should be said clearly here at the end of the deep. The lamps are warm, the old engine hums. The crew, ancient and few, take their meals together and sleep without alarms, and if they dream, they have more to dream of than anyone who has ever closed their eyes. They paid everything, and they were cheated of nothing, and they know it, as they pass at last into the longest sleep, one after another. In their warm-lit vessel, in the perfect dark, there is nothing anywhere to mourn them. But there is something, somewhere, to remember. The closing books, the monument, lies billions of years and billions of light years from a small blue world where, right now, tonight, it has not happened yet. Come back now, the whole way back, because the strangest truth of the night is still waiting here. Open your eyes gently without opening them. You never left. That is the mercy of thought experiments, and the mercy of sleep. The ship was made of mathematics. The crew was made of questions. And the only thing aboard that was ever real is the universe they sailed through, and the bed you are lying in now, under that same sky. And here is what the whole long voyage was for. The truth it carries home like cargo. We live at the beginning. It does not feel that way, ever. Every generation of humans has felt itself standing at the end of something. Late arrivals in an old tired world, the golden ages always behind. But the cosmologists, with their horizons and their patient bookkeeping, know otherwise. And tonight you have sailed the proof. The universe is 13.8 billion years old, and stars like ours will go on forming and shining for trillions of years yet. Run those numbers gently. If the whole life of the cosmos were a single long year, we are awake in its first morning. The overwhelming majority of all the sunrises there will ever be have not yet happened. This, right now, is the universe young. The sky over your roof tonight is crowded in a way it will never be again. 100 billion galaxies still ride within reach of our telescopes, their lights still arriving, their distances still crossable in principle by patient ships not yet built. The eye of the universe still hides behind the night, warm and waiting, for anyone who ever goes fast enough to meet it, the garden earth. The one the last humans wept to find healed is this earth, the one already under you. Reefs and rivers and bird-filled mornings not yet traded for anything. Every door in tonight's story still stands open, written into the deep waters by dark energy's quiet hand, but no one has crossed it. No one has even cast off. The whole voyage, every wonder and every price, is still folded up inside the future like a letter not yet sent. And the sea itself may be kinder than we knew. The measurement is from our own real years, this decade now. A great instrument in the Arizona mountains has spent these last seasons charting the positions of tens of millions of galaxies, reading the currents of the cosmic ocean more finely than any eye before it. And in that chart, faint but stubborn, survey after survey, a hint keeps surfacing. Dark energy. The silent pressure that stretches the waters and draws the one-way line across them may not be constant after all. It may be softening, weakening slowly as the eons turn. The astronomers say it carefully, as they should, and they will spend years yet making sure. But hold what it would mean. Lightly, the way you hold things at the edge of sleep. The lines on the chart are not iron. The door at 8.3 billion light-years is real tonight, but the hand that drew it may be lifting, and a universe whose deepest law can soften is a universe that has not finished deciding what it wants to be. We know so little still. That is not a confession. That is the adventure. So let the ship go. Let it sail on out of the story, warm-lit and faithful, carrying its monument of memory into the deep on your behalf. It was never really a spaceship, anyway. It was tonight's way of asking the oldest question on the water. How far does the ocean go? And what does the crossing cost? And is it worth it? And the answer the universe gave, the only answer it ever gives, is the one the old woman gave at the garden gate. You can go as far as you can promise to return from. Past that, you do not travel anymore. You become the journey. You, though, you are home. You never spent a single year of the price. Outside your window, the night is the near kind, the homely kind, 4 light years to the next harbour. A sky still full of light that knows your name. Hold the smallness of your place in it without fear. Of all the births in all the eras of this enormous universe, you have been given one in the golden hour, in the flourishing years, among the reefs and the rain, with every sea still unsailed and every door still open and the morning of time barely begun. There has never been a better moment to be alive, and there may never be again, and it is yours, and the only vessel you must keep is this one, breathing slowly in the dark. Use the time wisely, the professor would say. Tonight, using it wisely means letting it go. Let the horizons keep their distances. Let the dark energy soften or hold, as it pleases, on its billion-year clocks. Nothing out there needs you before morning. Some nights are for the silence between the stars, and some are for the ships that cross it. There will be other nights and other seas. Somewhere beyond the last horizon, where even light gives up the chase, the universe keeps its deepest rooms, the ones no traveller may enter and report back. What actually waits there, past the edge of everything, where the last light goes when it goes out? That is a question for another crossing, on another night when you are rested. The ship sails, the stars hold, the house is quiet. Sleep now, you are already home. Ambient tale begins after part 12, 36 min to 200. No narration past this point.
you